monitor this, continue to monitor his statements. We'll go back to President Trump for a quick reaction. We had a kind of a really pathetic display from the Ukrainian President Zelensky earlier today, President Trump, where in Russian, he doesn't like to speak Russian, but in Russian, he was essentially imploring Vladimir Putin not to invade his country. Now we basically have the Ukrainian ambassador to the United Nations looking like a defeated man. Your final reaction?
Well, I think the whole thing, again, would have never happened. It shouldn't happen. And it's a very sad thing. But you know what's also very dangerous is you told me about the amphibious attack by Americans. You shouldn't be saying that because you and everybody else shouldn't know about it. They should do that secretly, not be doing that through the great Laura Ingraham. They should be doing that secretly. Nobody should know that, Laura. And, you know,
that was the Russian. Those are the Russian amphibious landing.
No, I thought you said that. I thought you said that we were sending people in.
No, I did not. No. That would be news. That would be news.
All, and you know what? Hey, Laura, that's all we need. That'll be next. Okay. Now we ought to protect our own borders. You know, we ought to get to the southern border and start protecting the southern border.
I mean, these people are so aggressively reckless that you just had the leader of the Republican Party on national television wrongly declare that American troops had just begun fighting a ground war in Europe against Russia. We are so far beyond disinformation when it comes to Donald Trump and MAGA world that it doesn't even resemble anything close to reality. And on top of Donald Trump being so dim that he couldn't differentiate between the Russians attacking the Ukrainians and the Americans attacking the Russians, even the report itself about an amphibious attack was false. A reporter from the Washington Post had to debunk it on Twitter because the rumor was spreading. I wonder how. In other words, you've got Fox airing misinformation on non-existent attacks, and then Donald Trump operating on whatever errant synapses are left firing, who doesn't even know what countries are at war, and sticks our own country in the middle of it on national television. At some point, you gotta wonder if any of these people are physically capable of not getting it wrong. And yet, at the same time, it makes total sense as far as Trump is concerned. Not just the lying, although the lying is perfectly on brand, but using this opportunity to condemn not Vladimir Putin, not the tyrant who just invaded a sovereign country, not the warmonger who has delusions of grandeur and so he decided he was entitled to another nation, but rather to attack the United States under Biden's leadership. Trump is so desperate to attack Biden that he literally concocted an alternate reality where American troops were fighting. And the fact that Laura Ingraham was aware of what should be a covert operation was some massive leadership failure. In other words, Trump will latch on to anything, real or imagined, as part of his endless campaign to play politics for himself. Even when Ingraham calls him out, still he doubles down and says, that'll be next. In other words, instead of acknowledging fault, God forbid, still he tries to will his blatant lie into existence. Still he shows that he's not after the truth, he's just after the talking point. And that should give Americans pause, because he is showing, just as he has in the past, that his priority isn't defending democracy, it's not defending American lives, it's not defending any values or principles, it is helping himself. That's where everything starts and ends with Donald Trump. He is a reckless egomaniac whose entire worldview begins and ends with his own reflection. He is elated at the opportunity to exploit this war to attack Joe Biden because that's what will help him the most. And that's not just me opining. Here's Trump lavishing praise onto Putin in the lead up to the invasion.
I went in yesterday and there was a television screen and I said, this is genius. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. That's the strongest peace force. We could use that on our southern border. No, but think of it. Here's a guy who's very savvy. I know him very well.
Genius, savvy, smart. I've never even heard him describe Melania that way. And you mean to tell me that's not a guy who's falling over himself to cheer on Putin? Let's be real here. The truth is that there is no planet on which anyone should be applauding the actions of Vladimir Putin. There is no planet on which an invasion or a war are appropriate or warranted. And there is no planet on which the leader of one of our two political parties in the United States should be heaping praise onto the guy. This isn't a partisan issue. None of what I just said should depend on whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. But when you recognize that Donald Trump is only out for himself, then all of this should begin to make sense. Sometimes morality has to come before tribalism or partisanship. This is one of those times. We all know the difference between right and wrong in this situation, so don't reward the people who are using this conflict to help themselves. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work, subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I cover the most important stories each week, and my guest is always one of the top political figures, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Nancy Pelosi, Katie Porter, Cory Booker, and so many more. The podcast link is also right here on this screen, so give it a listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.